So let's move on to Manchester United next. Oh, beloved. How you feel about Man United right now, Lianne?
Well, I tell you what, I was like a kid last weekend when I was going to the game without working, and I was in the Stretford end, and I was excited in the morning, driving up there, brilliant. Took my friend with me that's actually a Tottenham fan, and he sat in the Man United end, which is hard to do when you go to a game.
You brought someone behind enemy lines?
Yeah, I did.
What?
But to be fair, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference because the only end that sings at Old Trafford is the Stretford end anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, and it was interesting, Hugh, because I said this to you the other day, constantly hearing, I love Gary Neville, but you hear them talk about the leaking roof, you hear them talk about these things, and I'm like, that doesn't impact the players on the pitch. Well, it doesn't, but when I was in the Stretford end the other day, waiting outside for ages to get in, the turnstiles, a couple of them weren't working. They've got they're just, it's the first time I've ever felt that we are so far behind. And it pained me to say it because Old Trafford was no longer a fortress to me. I used to go to games and miss stuff that was going on in the game because I'm staring around, because I'm so mesmerised at the stadium and the history that we have. But whenever I go to Tottenham, Arsenal, a lot of other stadiums, they just are so much better than ours, honestly. And I feel like there's a bigger problem, the fact that the club think that's acceptable to allow the fans to have to go in that way. I mean, outside the Sir Bobby Charlton stand, there was fans are waiting for about half an hour just to get in, and be surprised if they actually made it in time. So it was the first time that I had a realisation wow.
It needs modernising.
Yeah, and I hate it when people talk about the stadium because it doesn't impact but I think it's a bigger problem, the bigger picture. People talk about the training ground and those types of things, but it was a real realisation for me because when I was there, I love singing, I love being there, I love Man United, and I love the club, and I'll back any player that plays for our club. But it was a realisation of, I said it to you, didn't I, the other day, that it almost looks like we've got players, and this is no disrespect to Crystal Palace or Bournemouth before people come after me, that are wearing a Man United kit that would realistically be not even of standard of Bournemouth or Palace. Honestly, Christian Eriksen, love the guy. I'm sure he's a great, five-a-side player similar to Juan Mata, but right now the game's bypassing him, offering absolutely nothing. And the quality of our play was so poor. I mean, we were lucky that Tottenham didn't completely annihilate us. We went up twice, obviously, and we're lucky they didn't have Son, Basuma, Sarr, Kulusevski was out there, and illness throughout the squad as well. But I think we were quite lucky that was the case, because it's frightening to think Ange Postecoglou, the tune he's getting out of these players, Ollie Skip, Bentancur and Højbjerg in the midfield, I thought, we're going to get the better of them in the midfield today. Then they went through us like a knife through butter, Hugh. Bentancur's goal, I mean, come on. Our midfield was completely non-existent. And I'm always backing Bruno Fernandes because I think everyone comes after him. And when they're Manchester United players, everybody seems to come after us so much, like the club. So I'm always defending. But when I'm seeing Bruno out there, was the first time I just thought, do you know what? What are you doing? You're the captain. And I can't imagine what you must be like in training. There's standards, but he has to be reaching those standards before he's pointing the finger. And he's not reaching those standards. And he has one of the players that I believe could do more.
And guess what?
Go on.
He's one of Man United's better players this season.
I know.
Which says a lot.
I know. But we are so, so poor. And I think Ange Postecoglou, what he's done in a short space of time, speaks volumes because they've got a game plan, they've got a pattern of play, they have a style. And Erik ten Hag, if he comes out one more time and says about, we didn't implement the game plan, it's like, what style? What game plan?
Yeah. The thing is, and this is what I wanted to talk about, so Jim Ratcliffe really, and his ability to massively change what's happening at Manchester United in the short term. And I stress in the short term because anything can happen in 5 or 6 years. A lot of Manchester United fans are optimistic about pretty immediate change. You're talking about the next couple of summer transfer windows to see a radical change in this squad. And we've seen reports this week that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants a new centre forward to boost Manchester United's attack as a priority, a new number 8, a centre back and a right back. 4 players. I read that, and even though reports, and I just can't believe these reports, by the way, are true, but there were reports that striker, it was reported, needed to be at a similar level to Harry Kane. And that was a point that I spat my tea out and went, no, this story must be fake. So I almost don't believe it. Genuinely don't believe it, because this is what I mean. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe actually believes that he can attract that calibre of striker, of centre forward in the world, there's about 5 of them, to Manchester United, given the squad that he currently has, given the performances that they put in, then, I mean, naive is an understatement.
Yeah, but the thing is as well, remember the conversation I nearly have with you nearly every single week at why we didn't get Harry Kane.
But we don't want to go over old ground.
No, but let me listen to me. Højlund, Mason Mount, Anthony, all right?
Mm-hmm.
All these players that we've signed, Onana, Vicario the other day was unbelievable. The difference between Onana and Vicario was just so unbelievable. The fact that Vicario was 17 mil, right? All those players I just mentioned, add Sancho in there as well. For 5 of those players that we signed, maybe 400 mil, something like that, right? If you offer 200 million for Harry Kane, you're telling me Daniel Levy wouldn't have sold him to us. And then you said to me, you didn't think Harry Kane would come. I think Harry Kane would have come to Manchester United.
I don't think he would have.
I do.
Think he would have.
I do. For 200 million.
Well, that money's not going to him, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, Hugh, it doesn't matter. But
that's a different argument. You're saying Tottenham might have accepted a bid. Yeah, okay, if you give a world record bid, Tottenham probably would have accepted it. But why would Harry Kane, and this is the same point I'm making now about this hypothetical new centre-forward of that level, of that quality of player, is not going to this Manchester United. And there needs to be a realism about that. You're not going into the market for the best players in the world, unless you think you're going to start offering 500 grand a week salaries. But the other thing is, all of those players, even if you do sign them, will expect this squad to be overhauled. If you sit down with Kylian Mbappe and you say, by the way, don't worry about the team we've currently got there because we're getting rid of all of them and we're going to get players of your level and we're going big in the transfer market and we're going to get this guy and this, and you're just the beginning, then maybe they'll sign the paper. But if you're asking them to join the current Manchester United squad, I'm sorry, top draw players
I agree with you on
will
that, to be
not
fair.
do that.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.